is one of the most famous brands in the world. But behind the golden crown is a culture of mystery, secrets, and silence. Rolex doesn't publish any official numbers and never talks to the press. All we know is that in 2024, with 11 billion euros in revenue, Rolex alone takes up 1/3 of the Swiss luxury watch market. So how did a poor German orphan create the international symbol of personal success? And also, why our Rolex watches are so expensive? Let me tell you the bold story of Rolex.
Everyone has a Rolex. If at 50 years old you don't have a Rolex, you still have it in mind.
Today, Rolex dominates the Swiss watch industry, but its founder, Hans Wilsdorf, wasn't even Swiss. He was German. Hans' life started with tragedy. His mother died when he was a little baby, then his father died when he was only 12. Orphan, he was sent to live with his uncles, who placed him in a boarding school in Coburg, Germany, and later in Switzerland. There, Hans threw himself into his studies to forget his sadness. He was excellent in math and languages and developed strong self-discipline that would help him through his life. At 19, he got a job at Kuno Korten, a watch exporter in La Chaux-de-Fonds, one of the birthplaces of Swiss watching. He discovered and fell in love with the fascinating world of measuring time. But the job was tough. Every day, he had to win hundreds of watches by hand and check if they kept the right time. But that's how he developed an obsession with the perfect watch. Fast forward to 1903, Hans got a better job and moved to London. This time, he was in charge of selling Swiss watches directly. By talking to customers, he learned why some watches cost more than others. He realized something very important. In the watch industry, marketing is everything. Fast forward again to 1905, Hans was 24 years old and wanted his own share of success. With his savings and money from his brother-in-law, Alfred Davis, Hans founded the company Wilsdorf and Davis to make Swiss watches and sell them in Britain. In the early 9000s, pocket watches were still the most popular. They were seen as more elegant and manly. Wristwatches were mostly worn by women. People thought they were less accurate because they were smaller, more delicate, and easier to break. But Hans has a different opinion. My personal belief is that pocket watches will almost disappear and wristwatches will take their place completely. I'm not wrong about this, you will see I'm right. He believed wristwatches were more stylish and practical. For Hans, the solution was simple: improve the quality so that people would start using wristwatches. To make them, he worked with the only watchmakers who could meet his standards for precision and quality, the Swiss. But Hans knew that good quality wasn't enough. The strength of the brand was just as important. So in 1908, Hans Wilsdorf registered the name Rolex. Many people have guessed what the name means. Some say it sounds like a ticking of a watch, but the truth, Hans created by mixing random letters until one name sounded perfect: Rolex. Hans later said, "I chose the name Rolex because it's short, easy to say in any language, and it looks good on a watch dial." And just like that, Rolex was born. By 1910, the brand received the first Swiss certificate for precision given to a wristwatch. It was official. Rolex was making serious watches. 4 years later, in 1914, a British observatory gave a Rolex the highest rating, a Class A certificate that was previously only given to marine chronometers. Hans Wilsdorf was proving his point. A wristwatch could be just reliable as a professional navigation tool. But then World War I broke out. Because Hans was German and had a strong accent, many customers in Britain began to distrust him. On top of that, the British government added a 33% war tax on all luxury imports. In 1919, Hans made a big decision. He moved the Rolex company to Geneva, Switzerland. While many watch brands went out of business during the war, Rolex became a favorite among soldiers, thanks to how practical and reliable its wristwatch were. When peace returned, Rolex doubled down on innovation to stand out from the competition. In 1926, Rolex made a big move. They introduced the Oyster, the first truly waterproof wristwatch. The secret was a tightly sealed case and a crown with a double gasket. But many people didn't believe it. At the time, most watches were easily damaged by dust and water getting inside. So how could Rolex prove that the Oyster really worked? Hans Wilsdorf understood the power of product placement long before it became common. In 1927, he heard about a British woman, Mercedes Glitzy, who planned to swim across the English Channel. He asked her to wear the oyster during her swim. She spent 10 hours in the freezing water, and the watch came out working perfectly. To promote his success, Wilsdorf bought the front page of the Daily Mail and told the whole story to millions of readers. That bold move changed everything. Rolex became known for strength, performance, and pushing limits. In store windows, Wilsdorf even placed Rolex watches inside aquariums, with real fish swimming around them, to prove they were waterproof. That same year, he launched another smart idea, a second brand called Tudor. The goal was to offer Swiss-made watches at lower prices without hurting Rolex's luxury image. Tudor watches shared some designs and parts with Rolex, but used some affordable movements. This allowed Wilsdorf to reach more customers without lowering the exclusivity of Rolex. Over the years, Rolex kept innovating. At first, the brand wasn't for collectors. It was a tool watch created for professionals like divers, pilots, scientists, and explorers. In 1931, Rolex introduced the perpetual rotor, a system that allowed the watch to wind itself automatically, just by the movement of the wrist. At the time, most people thought this was impossible. In 1933, during the first flight over Mount Everest, the entire crew wore Rolex watches on their wrists. And then, in 1945, for the brand's 40th anniversary, Rolex launched the Datejust, the first automatic watch that showed not only the time, but also the date on a dial. In 1953, two legendary models were released. First, the Submarine became the gold standard for diving watches, waterproof up to 100 meters and equipped by a rotating bezel to measure diving time. It was developed by Jacques Cousteau and used by professional divers. Later, it would even be worn by James Bond in movies. That same year, a Rolex prototype joined Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay on their historic climb to the top of the Mount Everest. This legendary moment inspired the creation of the Explorer, a simple, rugged watch built to handle extreme conditions. It became a global symbol of adventure and pushing human limits. In 1954, Rolex introduced the GMT Master, a watch made for the iconic airline Pan Am. Its special dial let pilots read 2 time zones at once, perfect for long international flights. Then in 1963, Rolex launched the Daytona, a watch designed for race car drivers. It became legendary thanks to the Hollywood actor Paul Newman. In 2017, his personal Daytona sold at auction for nearly $18 million, a record at the time.